All right, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We're doing something a little bit different today, and honestly, I find it incredibly fascinating. We're basically going to act as digital forensic investigators. Now, normally we might look at a massive database or some dense 100-page academic paper, right? Not today. Today, our entire source material, literally the complete universe of our evidence, is a single 48-character digital artifact, just one string of text. But as you're going to see, when you put a microscope to this tiny little string, it reveals a highly structured, precisely engineered set of instructions. It's kind of like an entire map folded up into this incredibly tiny digital footprint.
To really unpack the secrets held within these 48 characters, we're going to follow a pretty strict roadmap. First, an introduction to the source. Second, we'll explore the core thesis. Third, analyzing the evidence. And finally, key takeaways and implications.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, Introduction to the Source. Let's set the stage and get our singular piece of evidence right up here on the examination table.
Now, what's genuinely wild here is the absolute hard boundary of our analysis today. This is it. https://youtube.b/rnhmqnjas8k?mark SI=D-O-Q-Y-Q-8-O-N-A-V-W-P-K-E-N-G-O. At first glance, it's just a web link. It's the kind of thing you copy and paste or click without even thinking twice. But I really want us to look at it differently today. Try looking at it as a complex sentence, written entirely in the language of machines. Every single letter, every number, every piece of punctuation, it's all there by deliberate design. There is absolutely no wasted space. It's a precise command just waiting to be executed.
Buried right in the middle of that string is its beating heart, the video ID, R-N-H-M-Q-N-J-8J8K. This specific 11-character sequence is the physical anchor point of our digital artifact. It is the destination. Think of it this way. If this whole text string is a set of driving directions, this 11-character ID is the exact latitude and longitude of the final house you're driving to. Without this core identifier, the rest of the artifact literally loses its entire purpose. It is the solid ground of our source material.
And that brings us right to Section 2, the core thesis. Because as we're seeing, this link isn't just a random jumble of letters thrown into a blender. It's a logically sequenced set of digital instructions.
Think about how a computer actually unpacks these arguments. It reads from left to right, almost like it's moving across a conceptual timeline. In Second 1, it reads the domain and protocol, https://youtube.be/. This basically tells the system how to travel and the general neighborhood it needs to go to. Then in Second 2, it parses that video ID we just talked about, RNHMQNJ8J8K. Bam. This narrows it down to the exact house on the block. Finally, in Second 3, it processes everything that comes after that question mark, the share parameter starting with SI equals. This is the extra baggage, the context, the little sticky notes attached to the delivery. It's a perfect 3-step chronological progression. Go here, find the specific thing, and hey, remember the specific context about how you got here.
So now that we understand how it's actually read, let's move into Section 3, Analyzing the Evidence. We're going to do a forensic, quantitative breakdown of the specific characters packed into our source text.
The absolutely crucial point here is this number, 48. That is the exact character count of our entire source artifact, 48 keystrokes. It's incredibly small, isn't it? It fits into a tiny fraction of a standard text message. And yet, the amount of structured routing and tracking data packed into exactly 48 characters is remarkably dense. It really makes you wonder, in an artifact so small, every single character has got to carry some serious weight, right?
Let's look at the two distinct halves of the link's data payload, the stuff that exists after the domain name. On one side, we have the static destination RNHMQJ88J8K. This is unchanging. It doesn't matter who clicks the link or where in the world they click it from, this destination remains identical every single time. But on the other side, we have the dynamic tracker, SI=DOQQ8ONAVPKNGO. This is a variable sharing parameter. That SI actually stands for Source Identifier or Share Index in standard URL architecture. It's the dynamic footprint of the interaction itself. So, one is the permanent location. The other is the temporary, highly specific tag of the journey itself.
Which leads me to ask you this. When you look at those two components side by side, how do you think the data within this 48-character source text is actually distributed? Like, which part of this instruction manual requires the most space? The protocol, the static destination, or the dynamic tracker? Just think about that for a second. What consumes the most digital real estate in our artifact?
Well, let's look at how this data distribution actually shakes out. Honestly, this is perhaps the most surprising piece of evidence in our entire explainer today. The protocol and domain string, that takes up 17 characters. The core video ID string, the actual content we're supposed to be looking for, that takes up only 11 characters. But the share parameter string, the tracking data, that takes up 20 characters. The variable tracking information physically outnumbers and outweighs the actual destination data. Why does this matter? Well, it fundamentally shifts our understanding of the artifact's purpose. It's not just a pointer to a video anymore. A massive percentage of its physical structure is dedicated solely to logging the context of the share. Crazy, right?
And that brings us to Section 4, Key Takeaways and Implications. What does this forensic breakdown ultimately tell us about the structure of our digital world? Let's distill exactly what you should take away from this explainer today. First off, our entire universe of source material was just a 48-character URL, proving that even a single line of text can hold some profound structural logic. Second, that 11-character video ID RNHQNGAJKK acts as the central non-negotiable anchor. Third, the presence of that SI parameter proves definitively that this is not just a clean organic link, but a tracked, shared artifact carrying external context. And fourth, and I think most importantly, the tracking data physically outnumbers the destination data. In this single digital artifact, the mechanism for tracking the share actually requires more code than the mechanism for finding the content itself. So we have completely mapped the structure of this artifact. We know how it's read, we know its exact weight, and we've seen the heavy footprint of its tracking parameter. But this brings us to the ultimate limitation of our evidence today. We have the map, but we don't have the territory. We know the 11 characters that point to the destination, and we know the 20 characters that track it. But what is the actual video? Who generated that share link in the first place? What information actually lies beyond the digital destination of RNNHQUJ8K? That is a question our 48 characters simply cannot answer, leaving the true nature of the content out there in the digital void, just waiting to be discovered. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the anatomy of a link. Keep your eyes open and stay curious.